This image is a finalist in a national photography competition, and in this video I'm going to describe to you how photo contests have become an important part of how I grow as a photographer. Now, as I approached retirement, I wanted to look at photography as potentially a second career. And I did a lot of the things that aspiring photographers do. But eventually you get to a point where it's important to start getting some good pointed feedback and constructive criticism that helps you in your growth. Now, I always enjoyed getting compliments from friends and relatives, still do, but you can't always rely on getting constructive criticism that is going to help you grow. And as a result of that, I began to enter contests, and not necessarily in the hopes of winning an award, but I would enter contests where I would get some good feedback that kind of helped measure me against other photographers who are also trying to grow. Now, what I'd like is as much feedback as possible. Now, it's not always realistic to expect, written feedback for every entry. But at a minimum, the contest should be able to provide you with the number of entries in the contest and where you finished. Well, let me tell you what I'm going to be doing in 2026. The first thing I'm going to do is set a budget. And it's important because the entries in a lot of contests are anywhere between $25 and $50 per image. And I did not set a budget in 2025, and I probably spent a little bit more than I needed to. So that'll be number one. Number two is, research the contests that you potentially may want to enter over the course of the year. And there's some really good ones out there, and they're not too hard to find. And part of the research is going to be seeing what the past winning images have been. And what that does at a minimum, it sets a standard for you in terms of what you need to aspire to. And then what I would also suggest is that at the beginning of the year, you start to curate a set of images that might be worthy of being entered into a contest. And that's not to say that anything that's curated automatically goes into a contest, but it's helpful to be thinking about the quality of photo that you need to be providing and the types of images you need to be chasing after. And then the last thing I would do is just, start thinking about developing a thick skin. Sometimes you're going to get feedback that you don't want, but all the feedback is important. And I know from my own personal experience, I've submitted images that I thought were pretty good, which came out ranking very, very low. And yes, I was disappointed, but I learned a lot from it. And the thing to remember, this is not about winning, although winning would be awesome, but more than anything else, you're gathering data. And the objective here is ultimately to gather information that's going to help you get better. So I am a contest finalist. And before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about the PPA. The PPA is the Professional Photographers of America. And if you are a member, you are able to enter their contest. So last year, I entered the PPA contest for the first time, and I entered this image, which I thought was pretty good. It was taken via a drone in the Icelandic highlands, and there was a lot of things that I liked about the photo, so I thought it was a very good entry. So on the day that they announced the finalist, which is usually in the first week of November, I went to the PPA website, and I was disappointed to find that I was not in the top 32. However, when I looked closer, I noted that I had finished 33rd, and that was out of 247 entries. So I guess that made me the highest rated loser, which I guess is something. But more than anything else, it did provide me with a lot of encouragement for this year. So this is the photo that was selected as a finalist in this year's PPA competition. Now, as you look at the photo, you may have the mistaken idea that it was just me and the model and a lot of solitude all around me that allowed me to position the model exactly where I wanted her to be so I can take what I thought was the perfect shot. In fact, there was a group of about 15 of us. The whole scene was very chaotic. We had the model moving from place to place at the direction of many people. And it became a challenge to figure out, okay, how can I get my opportunity to get the shot that I'm looking for? And I probably took about 50 shots. And ultimately, one really jumped out. So the photo itself was made on the island of Sumba in Indonesia at a place that's famous for these mangrove trees that look like they're dancing when the tide goes out. The beach is super shallow, so at low tide, if you time it properly, you get this thin layer of water that turns into a mirror at sunrise. Now, as I mentioned, we had the model with us. She was wearing a red gown and she was moving in and out of the trees. And for me, this was a chance to practice, what I love the most, which is landscape photography, but also with a little bit of humanity mixed. So when I did frame this up, I wasn't really thinking about contests, of course, I was just thinking about the story. And what I like about this photo is that her red dress, it is the only strong color that jumps out against all the warm golds and yellows. And your eye will go straight to her, and of course her back is to you, which adds an air of mystery to the whole thing. And when I had an opportunity to enhance the coloring in Photoshop and bring out the image that I had in my mind, I was really quite happy with it. So when PPA selected this as a finalist, I gotta admit I was pretty excited. We will see what the final judging brings in January. I have looked at the competition and there are some great images there, and it's going to be really tough. What I've not mentioned to you, that this wasn't the only image that I submitted into a competition with PPA, and the rest of them really didn't fare that well. And what that is another reminder to me that I've still got a lot of learning in front of me and that the journey is going to continue. However, being selected as a finalist is one of those signposts that you remember, which lets you know that, hey, I'm probably on the right path here, and I just got to keep grinding away. So I'm grateful and honored to be a finalist, but I'm even more excited about where this is going to push me to go next. And in January, after the final winners have been announced, I'll report back on this channel, let you know what I learned, let you know how I did, and tell you what next steps I'm going to be taking. If you're still with me, I appreciate it. If there's anything that you've enjoyed in this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. I would love to hear a comment, and I'm particularly interested in hearing from you about what are the things that you do to measure progress as you continue along your journey. Also consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you again, and until next time, we'll see you.